So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do the banded net stitch. So this stitch is slightly different on the reverse because it is a 2-row repeated pattern, so you repeat rows 2 and 3. So on the front you get these trebles that stick out, and on the back those trebles aren't quite so prominent. But it doesn't look strange if you were to make a scarf that was going to fold over. I don't think it looks sort of weird on the reverse. I think it would look absolutely fine, and it would make a beautiful spring or summer scarf. So as I say, this is a 2-row repeated pattern, so we have one row that creates this band here and then another row that creates our loops, and the extra band here helps the rectangles to sort of keep their shape so you don't end up with sort of squashed rectangles or things going off in weird and wonderful directions. Hello, my name's Karen Stangram and welcome to Conquer Crochet, the channel for tips, tricks and techniques for conquering your crochet. Everything I talk about in today's video will be linked in the descriptions below. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a single stitch. So if you're keen to get going with this video, give me a thumbs up and let's do this. So for this tutorial I'm going to be using a Stylecraft Aran. I think this one's called Fuchsia. I've lost the label, I apologise. I think it might be called Fuchsia. I'm going to be using a 6.5mm crochet hook to give me a nice drape, even though I would ordinarily use a 5mm with an Aran. I have my needle for sewing off my ends, and I have my scissors for cutting off my ends, and I also have a stitch marker, but that's just personal preference in case the doorbell goes. So let's get on with the tutorial. So I'm going to start off by making a slip knot. You can do this in whichever way you prefer. And we're going to make a foundation chain in multiples of 4 plus 2 extras. So I'm going to do mine in 20 chains. So if you'd like to join in with the same size swatch that I'm doing, I will be chaining 20, then my extra 2 at the end. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So pause the video now whilst you make your foundation chain. So I have my foundation chain of 20 stitches, and I'm going to do my 2 extras, 1, 2. So to start this pattern off then, we're going to do a treble in the 10th chain from the hook. So we don't count the one on the hook, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in the 10th chain from the hook we're going to do our treble. And this will all become clear later, don't you worry. So that sort of becomes the post for the treble plus the bottom plus the top, so it sort of becomes a rectangle or an oblong. We're then going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to miss the next 3 stitches. So we've worked in that one, so 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th stitch we're going to do a treble. Now remember this, I'm working in UK terminology. If you're working US terminology, that will be a double crochet. So I've skipped 3, 1, 2, 3. In that 4th one I'm going to do a treble. Going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3. And in the 4th one I'm going to do a treble. So continue this way all the way down your row. So you're going to chain 3, skip 3, and then do a treble. And I will join you at the end of your row. So I come to the end of my row here. I've chained 3, I've skipped 3, so I'm working in the very last chain with a treble. So a nice easy row end there. So that is row 1 complete. Now we don't need to do row 1 ever again. We're going to repeat rows 2 and 3. So row 2, chain 1 and turn. Chain 1 does not count as a stitch, therefore we're going to work in the very first stitch here. And in there we're going to do a double crochet. Remember, that's single crochet in US terminology. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip over this space here, and in the top of that treble I'm going to do another double crochet. Going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Skip over this chain space, and in the top of that treble we're going to do a double crochet. So we're basically making an extra band along here. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip the 3 chain and do a double crochet in the top of that treble. So continue in the same way all the way down the row. Pause the video and I will meet you at the end of row 2. So I've come to the end of my row 2, I've done my 3 chain, I'm going to skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th one I'm going to do a double crochet. And there we have row 2 completed. So we have the bigger blocks at the bottom and then this sort of little band, which is where the banded net gets its name from, this little band going across here. So for row 3 we're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and turn our work. So this chain 6 counts as 1 treble and a 3 chain. So if you imagine the treble coming upwards and the 3 chain echoing what was happening here, that 6 there is a 3 chain and a treble. Okay, so what are we going to do with the rest of this row? We're going to miss the first double crochet that we crocheted into, because we're going to skip over this gap here, and then in the top of that double crochet, so we're skipping the chain space, we're going to do a treble. We're then going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip the chain space and create a treble in the top of the double from the previous row. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip over that chain space and create a double in the top of the create a treble in the top of the double, sorry. And you just continue that all the way down your row, and I will meet you at the end of the row to show you what to do at the end. So when we get to the end of our row, then we chain 3 to travel, 1, 2, 3, and we do a treble in the top of that double from the previous row. And that really is as simple as that. So you do your band row where you chain 3 and double, and then the next row you're chaining 3 and trebling. So I'm going to work up a few more rows so you can see how it looks as the pattern progresses. So I'll join you in a second. So I've just worked up a few more rows so you can see how the pattern progresses. So you have this lovely sort of double band that goes across, and that actually helps these sort of rectangles to hold their shape. Whereas if you didn't have that extra band sort of holding it there, giving it some rigidity, then you'd end up with sort of maybe more of a mesh that's going to go off to one side, and then you start getting diagonal diamonds rather than rectangles. So it's a really lovely, really quick pattern to work up. So it's a 2-row repeated pattern. So it is going to look slightly different on the reverse. So you get the extra stitches here that stick out, if you like, which they don't stick out as much on the reverse. but a really lovely, quick and easy pattern, perfect for your summer and spring garments. And that's how to do the banded net stitch. I really hope you found today's tutorial useful. If there are any information that you need to find out about this video, have a look in the descriptions below where I post all the links to any freebies and other videos I think you might find useful. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video, to give me a thumbs up below. Don't forget also to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you've enjoyed it and you'd like to see more of my tutorial videos. There are 2 other videos on screen to help you on your crochet journey, and I will see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!